facing a housing crisis. Milton is aware of this and so many others. And I'll stress it's not just a crisis that affects those seeking housing. It also is a crisis that is affecting our economy and workforce. And the MBTA communities law, of course, passed by Republican Governor Baker and a Democratic legislature, is a significant tool to help us with that crisis. We've made it clear that it's mandatory. We did that early last year. And we've done everything in our power, along with, of course, our housing agency here in Massachusetts, to work with Milton and others to bring them into compliance. Milton has decided to go in a different direction, and so we're using our litigation tool to bring them into compliance and to, frankly, do our job, which is to enforce the law of Massachusetts.
Some in Milton say that they've been misclassified, as well as that they want more conversations with the state to try and find a compromise. Is the time for talk over in your mind?
There has been significant conversation, technical assistance by our office, of course, the administration, the governor's team as well, every step of the way. From the process of crafting the regulations, we worked with Milton and other communities that said they needed more flexibility, for example, on location. We delivered that. In addition to that, as they had questions throughout this process on how and what it meant to come into compliance, we delivered and worked with them on that. And now you have a subset of folks within Milton trying to drive, obviously, a group of folks to oppose this. And we've made it clear, it's not only mandatory, we will continue to work with you, but it's not voluntary. And we have a job to do, which is to enforce the law of Massachusetts. And I'll stress, we expect our constituents to follow our laws. It's no different from municipality when it comes to our housing crisis.
The government's kind of caught in the middle here. They passed something they thought would work, and their residents.
Say that again?
The government tried. They passed something. The residents said no. So is your message to the residents, hey, you can't get away with this?
Absolutely. It's mandatory. And it's simple as that. And I will say some local officials obviously did their part to bring Milton into compliance. In addition to that, they sought funding from the state. Twice the state provided 2 grants to help them develop that plan, and now our job is to implement it. And to frankly say, not only to the Yes Coalition, but even the No folks, that this is mandatory. We have a housing crisis, and because you have a public good and public transit in your community, you have to come into compliance with this critical piece of legislation that was passed by a bipartisan effort to address our housing crisis.
Did you consult with the governor's office at all? Did she ask you to file this suit, or did you do it independently of her?
We are independent of the governor and everybody else. We are accountable to the people. And so my team worked really hard to craft this complaint, of course, to file it this morning. We kept our word. We said along the way, if you do not come into compliance, we will do our job, which is to enforce the law here in Massachusetts. But we don't answer to the governor or the legislature. We answer to the people. But most importantly, we do this work in collaboration. So, of course, we worked in partnership with the governor and the administration, the legislature as well, and folks in Milton, and we'll continue to do the same going forward.
How did you work with the governor's office on this?
So her Secretary Augustus and her housing team, obviously her new housing secretary, is in the weeds on this issue, rightfully so. And so they're working to implement and to use their tools. We're doing the same. They've sent their correspondence to Milton, pushing them to come into compliance, and we've done the same. So there's a lot of collaboration in a good way.
There's other communities that have started discussing not following this law as well, and Holden is also not in compliance right now. Can these communities expect to see something similar in there?
We'll continue to work with them. We hope we don't have to continue to file lawsuits against municipalities to bring them into compliance, and that they look at what we're doing here and choose to follow the law and to develop their plans according to the regulations and the law. And we'll make it crystal clear. This office, the AG's office, has shown up over the years to implement laws and to make sure that in any dispute between the state and a municipality, that what the law is and how they need to implement it. We did it in the context of a 180-day school year. This is no different. And we want to work with municipalities. And we've been reasonable every step of the way. This is not about a fight or fighting each other. This is about working to address a housing crisis, being reasonable in our response, which we have been. We've only sought two opinions of the court with the hopes that Milton will do the right thing, and so will other municipalities as well.
Is this also about setting an example of Milton so that those who have not yet complied will come into compliance, and those who are thinking about not complying, hey, don't do that?
I think it's making it crystal clear what the law is and saying that we have to follow our laws as adopted by our legislature. We did it in the context, of course, of other matters this last year and, of course, this year. And when it comes to Milton, they have to come into compliance. And it's not about making an example, because we're not framing this as a fight. This is a crisis that we all have to play a role in solving. It is about the future of our Commonwealth, our workforce, our innovation, the next generation having a chance to be able to, of course, live here and to call Massachusetts home. It's about housing for our seniors, our municipal employees, and so many others who are working 2 or 3 jobs and can't buy a home or rent a home in Massachusetts. This tool works. The legislature got it. It shouldn't be voluntary. It should be mandatory because we need such a significant tool. And our job is to enforce it as it is, and we're excited about working with municipalities to get it done.
Last question. Comes into compliance, are you worried that you won't have the ability to get a court ruling saying that this law is mandatory if they end up moving more quickly?
If they move quickly, wonderful. We'll continue to work with them as we have. Lawyers and staff included in the office are working. They have been diligently with these municipalities. The housing agency, of course, is doing the same. The administration is doing the same. We want to not always have to go to court to implement our laws. We want to, of course, engage and get it done. And so if they choose to do that, wonderful.
Great.
Are
Thanks,
you planning
everyone.
to take independent action against Stewart Healthcare?
That Stewart is for a separate press conference. I will say this quickly on Stewart because I've been asked all day. We are currently in problem-solving mode, working with Health and Human Services, of course, the governor, to provide immediate and sort of continued care and health care to our constituents, making sure the providers and the nurses that do that job also get paid. That's immediate work. On the accountability question, we are demanding documents. They need to be more transparent. They need to deliver more documents to us. We will take all that information and we will hold anyone and everyone accountable after we do a thorough review, and we'll communicate that back to the public.
Great. Thank you. That's it. Thanks, guys.
If there are people telling no.
Thank you.